Howdy, folks. I'm Farron Wise. Thanks for joining Consuelo and Ethan on today's episode. We're pretty sure you'll find it interesting. Our producer, Toby Eunice, would like you to know that he's put a link in the description box below this video. The link will lead you to a comprehensive briefing document on today's topic. While you're watching, please take a moment to like our video and make a comment. Also, if you're not already, please subscribe to our channel and click the notifications bell to make sure you're informed when we release each new episode. Now, let's get on with today's program.
Okay, so let's dive right into this. The Explore Act, it's making waves, right?
Right.
And you want to know how it impacts you, especially as a photographer, videographer, and, oh yeah, treasure hunter.
You got it. And luckily, there's a whole section just for that. Section 125, also known as the Film Act.
The Film Act, okay. So we've got like articles, official documents, even some congressional testimony. What's the biggest takeaway for our listeners about this Section 125?
Well, for creators like you, the most exciting part is no permits.
Wait, no permits at all?
If you're a small crew, 5 people or less, and you're not, disrupting things or harming the environment, you're free to film and photograph. No permit needed.
That's a big deal. I bet a lot of filmmakers, photographers, even YouTubers are breathing a sigh of relief.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. It applies even if you're making money from your work.
So I could sell my photos online, make a documentary about my awesome treasure finds, even film a wedding in a national park.
As long as you're a small crew and follow the rules, you're golden. No permit needed.
This is amazing. I remember hearing about all those legal battles over filming permits. Like that one in Grand Teton, right?
Yeah, you're thinking of the lawsuit by Fire, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. They were challenging the National Park Service, said that the permit requirements were messing with First Amendment rights.
Wow, so it sounds like that case, along with some serious lobbying, really pushed this change.
Oh, yeah. Groups like the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable really pushed for this.
It's great to see that kind of advocacy leading to actual change.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked small crews, no permits. What if you've got a bigger team?
Well, the Explore Act thought of that too. For 6 to 8 people, there's this new thing, de minimis authorization. Basically, if you're following the rules, not messing things up, you get your permit immediately.
Still paperwork, but way faster.
Exactly. And for huge productions, more than 8 people, or if your project has a big impact, you still need the regular permit process. But even then, things are supposed to be much faster.
No more waiting months for an answer. That's good. So, quicker turnaround, easier for small groups. Anything else hidden in Section 125 our listeners should know?
Well, if your project needs permits from multiple agencies, say you're filming across a national park in BLM land, they'll pick one lead agency to make it simpler.
Ah, so you're not running around to 5 different places. What about costs? Permits usually aren't free.
Right. They can still charge to cover the costs, but it's got to be reasonable.
Reasonable fees, faster responses, a smoother process overall. Seems like a win for everyone filming and taking photos.
Yeah, people are calling it a victory for creative freedom. Easier access for independent creators like you. It's leveling the playing field.
And did anyone in Congress specifically mention documentary filmmakers?
Yes. Actually, Representative Grijalva, he specifically talked about ensuring access for documentary filmmakers and journalists.
Okay, so it's not just a law. They actually understand what it means for creators. That's good.
Definitely. And it got strong bipartisan support, so both sides see the value in creative expression and outdoor recreation.
But are there any worries about these changes?
There are always some. Some folks worry more filming will impact other visitors or strain resources, especially in popular spots.
Yeah, not everyone wants a film crew around when they're trying to enjoy nature.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how agencies balance access for creators with the experience for everyone else. It'll be a learning curve.
It's a good reminder that with this freedom comes responsibility.
Right.
Be mindful of our impact. Use these spaces with respect.
Absolutely. Leave no trace. Stick to the trails. Be considerate. Keep those places amazing for everyone.
Solid advice. So we've unpacked Section 125. It opens doors for creators for sure. But the Explore Act is way bigger than just this one part.
Oh yeah, there's tons more to it, like infrastructure improvements, accessibility stuff, ways it supports gateway communities.
Sounds good. We've got lots more to cover.
Yeah.
So let's move on to those other parts and see what else this Explore Act is all about.
It's cool how the Explore Act, it doesn't just focus on the big stuff, like new trails, permits, all that.
Right?
It actually looks at how we help the towns and cities that get hit hard by all the all the outdoor recreation.
Oh, you mean those gateway communities, the
Yeah.
ones right near the national parks and stuff?
Exactly.
Right.
They see a huge jump in visitors, and that can
Mhm.
be tough on them, resources, all that. So there's a whole part of the Explore Act just about helping those gateway communities.
Okay, I'm curious. How does it do that? Is it all about just giving them more money?
It's smarter than that. The act says those federal agencies, they have to assess what each community needs. Housing, infrastructure, how is all that extra visitation impacting them?
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Right. Figure out what each place needs first.
Exactly. Then they can work with the communities to find solutions. Maybe that's helping them get grants for better roads, promoting sustainable tourism, or even tackling things like housing costs, especially for seasonal workers.
I like that it's collaborative, working with the people who live there, not just telling them what to do.
Yeah, the Explore Act gets that these gateway communities, they're the ones dealing with all this growth firsthand, and the goal is to help them manage it in a way that's sustainable.
It's good for everyone then, the towns, the visitors, and of course the environment. Now, we talked about permits for filmmakers and photographers, but they're not the only ones needing permits, right?
Oh, totally. Guide companies, outfitters, anyone running a business on federal lands, they need special recreation permits. And let's just say that process hasn't always been smooth.
Lay it on me. What were the problems?
It was slow, complicated, and it was different depending on which agency you were dealing with. Imagine waiting months for a permit, tons of paperwork, and never knowing how much it would cost. A nightmare for these businesses, especially if they work across different areas.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun at all.
So the Explore Act tries to fix all that. It wants to make those permits simpler, faster, and more transparent.
Give me the details. What's changing?
Okay, first, agencies have to get rid of any unnecessary steps, lower the costs, and make the whole process faster. They also have to simplify the applications and move everything online.
The power of the internet, cutting through red tape. So no more waiting forever.
Hopefully not. The goal is to have agencies acknowledge and respond to applications within 60 days.
That's way better. And what about outfitters who work in, multiple places? Any help for them?
Yeah, they're trying out a new system, joint permits for those multi-jurisdictional trips. So instead of 5 permits, you might just need 1. And they'll choose one lead agency to handle everything.
One permit, one point of contact. That's got to be a relief. And the costs, are those changing too?
They can still charge you to process the permit, but they can't tack on extra fees for program reviews or unnecessary studies. It's all about being fair and transparent.
Faster approvals, easier process, more reasonable costs. Seems like a win for everyone, the outfitters, the agencies, and, in the end, the visitors too.
Definitely. It's about supporting those businesses that make outdoor recreation happen while also making sure those public lands are used responsibly.
Because those businesses, they're not just about making money, right? They educate visitors,
Sure.
promote conservation.
Oh, absolutely. They play a huge role in taking care of these lands. And speaking of taking care of things, the Explore Act doesn't stop at permits. It really wants to improve infrastructure on public lands. We're talking everything.
You mean trails, campgrounds, restrooms, visitor centers, all that stuff?
Yeah, all the things that make being outdoors enjoyable and safe, too. We've touched on some. Parking, broadband access, shooting ranges. But it goes way beyond that. The Act wants to fix up pretty much everything that impacts visitors.
Sounds like a big to-do list. But who's paying for all this? Are they giving land management agencies a ton of money?
Not a ton, no, but they're getting creative. They're starting a pilot program to encourage public-private partnerships.
So getting private companies to help pay for upgrading and maintaining those public lands?
Exactly. And it's not just that. They want to figure out exactly what needs fixing, how much it'll cost, that whole backlog of maintenance. Plus, using more volunteers and finding new ways to pay for projects, like these pay-for-performance deals, where private companies get paid based on how well a project turns out.
Sounds like they're really trying to tackle this maintenance problem. It's been an issue for a while, right?
It has. And they realize the old ways of funding things, it might not be enough anymore. Gotta think outside the box.
That's a theme we've seen a lot with this act, being creative, trying new things. And speaking of new things, we can't forget about technology.
Oh, yeah, the tech stuff. We talked about that broadband assessment in national parks, but the Explore Act goes way deeper than that.
Okay, hit me with the tech talk. What else is in there?
One big thing is making the America the Beautiful Pass digital.
That annual pass that gets you into all the national parks? Ha! Finally. I mean, in the age of smartphones, it's about time.
Right. No more carrying around that paper pass. And they want to sell all those recreation passes online too, entrance fees, everything.
No more digging for cash at the entrance booth. Much more convenient.
For sure. And it's not just about convenience. They also want a system to show you, like, real-time crowding at those popular spots.
So I can see how crowded a trail is before I go. That's awesome.
Yeah. Or it could tell you, hey, this trailhead is packed, but there's a similar one nearby that's less crowded and just as cool. Could be a game changer for visitors and for protecting the environment, too.
Less overcrowding, less impact on the environment. That's smart.
It is. They can even use that data to figure out way to improve things, staffing, even how they market different areas.
Like they're saying, let's use technology to manage things better, not just react to problems after they happen.
Exactly. And by being smarter, we can keep those places awesome for everyone. Managing access is just one piece, though. The Explore Act also cares about conservation. Can't have great recreation without a healthy environment, right?
Totally. Easy to get excited about new trails and stuff, but none of it matters if those places get ruined.
Right. So there's a whole section on conservation, making sure the environment is protected, even as we make things more accessible.
Okay, give me the specifics. What kind of conservation stuff are we talking about?
We talked about stopping those invasive species.
Right, the ones that can take over and mess everything up.
Exactly. But the act goes beyond just stopping them. It says any new development, any new activities, they have to fit in with the existing plans for managing that land.
So no building a new visitor center in the middle of a sensitive habitat.
Right. It's about making sure everything works together. And they're also putting money towards things like fixing trails, cleaning up pollution, and protecting sensitive areas.
So it's not just preventing damage, it's actually fixing the problems that are already there.
Exactly. And to get younger generations involved, they want to create a whole strategy to get more kids visiting public lands. Remember that? Every Kid Outdoors program.
Oh yeah, the one that gives fourth graders free access to parks and stuff.
That's it. A great way to get kids excited about nature and maybe turn them into future conservationists.
Exactly. Yeah. Plant those seeds early, get them to care about these places.
Right. It's all about balance, taking care of the environment while also making sure people can enjoy it. The Explore Act gets that.
So far, it sounds like a lot of good stuff. Permits, infrastructure, technology, conservation, support for those communities near parks. Anything else we should mention before moving on to the potential problems?
Actually, yeah, there's one more thing, especially since you're into treasure hunting.
Okay, now you've got my attention.
Yeah.
Treasure hunting is always an adventure. What does the Explore Act say about that?
Well, it tries to clear up some confusion around metal detecting and other treasure hunting on public lands. The rules have been kind of messy, which is frustrating for people and can lead to conflict.
Right, so you don't want to be out there with your metal detector and accidentally break some obscure rule.
Exactly. So while it doesn't totally rewrite the rules, the Act tells those agencies, hey, you got to make it clearer where metal detecting is allowed, what permits are needed, all that.
So more consistency and transparency? That's helpful.
Yeah, and they want better signs at those recreation sites, too. Clear rules posted right there. That would prevent a lot of headaches.
Absolutely. Everyone knows what's allowed, what's not, keeps things smooth.
Right. When everyone's on the same page, it's better for the treasure hunters, other visitors, and the people managing those lands, too.
It's all about finding that balance, making sure everyone can enjoy these places without getting in each other's way.
Well said. Now, the Explore Act, it's getting a lot of praise for sure.
Yeah, it's been pretty popular, right?
But even with all the good stuff, we got to talk about the potential problems. No law is perfect. There are always those unforeseen consequences.
Okay, let's get into it. What are some of the worries people have?
One big one is overcrowding. The Act wants more access, better infrastructure, which is great.
But more people might go to those already popular places, making the problem worse.
That's the worry. It's a tough balance, making things accessible without ruining them.
And that's where those land management agencies come in, right?
Yeah, they've got a tough job ahead of them.
So it's not just about adding more trails or campgrounds, it's about being smart about it, making sure those places can handle more people.
Exactly. And that's where all that data collection comes in. Knowing how people are using these places, that helps agencies make better decisions.
Right, so that data can not only help visitors find less crowded spots, but also help agencies decide where to build new stuff, or maybe even where to limit access a bit.
Exactly. Data can be a powerful tool, especially if we want to protect these places while still letting people enjoy them.
It's about being proactive, not waiting for things to get out of hand.
Right. Another challenge is, well, money. The Explorer Act has all these great ideas.
But ideas need funding, right?
Exactly. Congress might authorize a program, but then not give them enough money to actually do it.
So the agencies and those outdoor groups, they've got to keep pushing to make sure those programs actually get funded.
Exactly. And that's where public support matters, too. Showing Congress how important this stuff is, that's how we get those programs the money they need.
Because without money, even the best ideas won't go anywhere. Now, we talked about technology infrastructure, but in the end, it all comes down to the people doing the work, right?
Totally. We can have all the fancy laws and gadgets, but without the people to manage those lands, it won't work.
And I've heard those agencies are already short-staffed, right?
It's a real problem.
Yeah.
And if we're expanding access, building new stuff, we need even more people to take care of it all.
So what's causing this shortage? Is it the pay, the working conditions, or maybe people just don't know about these jobs?
It's a bit of everything. The pay isn't always great compared to other jobs, and the work can be tough, especially out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's not for everyone. It takes a special kind of person to dedicate their career to this.
You got it. And the Explore Act tries to address that. They want to make it easier to recruit and keep good people. Things like help with housing, maybe student loan forgiveness.
Those are good steps. Hopefully they'll attract those talented people who really care about these places.
Yeah, gotta have those passionate people. Otherwise, none of this will work.
It's a reminder that it's not just about laws and money. It's about people. The people who are out there every day taking care of these lands.
Absolutely. Now, with all this talk about more access, more people doing different activities, it makes you wonder, what about conflict? You know, people getting in each other's way.
Right. You've got hikers and mountain bikers, bird watchers and drone operators, everyone wanting to use the same space. Managing that seems tricky.
It is. The Act does try to help with that, though. More signs, educational programs, making sure everyone knows how to be responsible.
So everyone knowing the rules, being considerate of others, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's all about communication and education. And it's not just the agencies, it's all of us, right? Being mindful of other people, sharing the space.
We're all in this together, right? Protecting these places, making sure everyone can enjoy them.
That's it. Shared stewardship, that's the key. Now, this whole thing also raises a question about, well, what does responsible even mean anymore? You know, with all this new technology, new ways of doing things.
Yeah, it used to be leave no trace, stay on the trails. But what about drones, e-bikes, all that?
Exactly. Things are changing, and we have to change with them.
So give me some examples. How is technology, challenging those old ideas of responsible recreation?
Well, ebooks are a good example. They're awesome. Let more people get out there, explore further.
But they can also cause problems, right? Damage to trails, maybe?
Right. And then drones, incredible for photos and videos, but they can be noisy, disturb wildlife, even raise privacy concerns.
It's like every new gadget brings a whole new set of questions.
It does. We want those cool new ways to experience the outdoors, but we also got to make sure they don't ruin things.
So it's about figuring out how to use those new technologies without harming the environment or ruining the experience for others.
Exactly. It's a constant learning process, adapting the rules, figuring out how to manage all these new activities.
Sounds like the Explore Act, while a big step, is really just the start of a much bigger conversation.
I think you're right. It sets things in motion, but we've got a lot of work to do to figure out how all this plays out.
Exciting and maybe a little scary, right? But definitely a new era for how we experience the outdoors.
Definitely. And the Explore Act is right at the heart of it all.
This deep dive has been super insightful. I really appreciate you walking us through all this. It can get complicated.
Happy to help. Hopefully our listener has a better idea of what this law means for them and for everyone who loves the outdoors.
I think so. But before we finish up, there's one more thing we need to talk about.
Okay, lay it on me. What else is there?
The future. What happens next? What's the Explore Act going to mean for outdoor recreation in 5-10 years?
The crystal ball question. Well, I think we'll see some big trends emerging, things that are already starting to happen.
Okay, tell me. What trends should we be keeping an eye on?
Well, for one, outdoor recreation is just going to keep getting more popular.
More people wanting to escape the city, get some fresh air.
Exactly. And that means even more people heading to those public lands.
But isn't that a problem? The Explore Act wants more access. But doesn't that mean more overcrowding, too?
Yeah, that's the challenge. And it shows that we got to be smart about this. Building more trails and campgrounds isn't enough.
Right, we have to make sure those places can actually handle more people, that we're not loving them to death.
Exactly. We need a new way of thinking about how we manage these places.
So how do we do that? How do we make sure more access doesn't ruin everything?
Well, one way is to encourage people to explore different places instead of everyone going to the same few spots.
Spread people out a little more so not everything gets overcrowded.
Exactly. Find those hidden gems, try different activities, maybe visit during the off season.
That's a great idea. But how do we get people to do that? I feel like everyone just goes to those same famous spots.
Right, those iconic places are always going to be popular. But we can be creative. Maybe build new trails in less visited areas, highlight those hidden gems in our marketing, even offer discounts for people who visit during the slower times.
It's like we need to make those lesser-known places more appealing, spark people's curiosity.
Exactly. And technology can help with that too. Think about using interactive maps, virtual tours, even personalized recommendations.
So someone could say, I like hiking and wildflowers, and the app could show them a less crowded trail that fits their interests.
Exactly. Technology can help us manage crowds, but also make those hidden gems easier to find, more exciting to visit.
It's like we're using tech to not only solve problems, but also to create new possibilities.
Exactly. And we can't forget about all that data we've been talking about. Knowing how people are using these places, that's crucial for making good decisions.
Right, not just telling people where to go, but actually using that data to guide development, to make sure those places can handle more people without getting ruined.
That's it. Data is our friend here.
So we've got diversification, promoting new places, and using data to make smart decisions. Those are all ways to manage that extra visitation. What else?
Well, the Explore Act is also really big on accessibility, making sure everyone can enjoy these places, regardless of their abilities.
Yeah, that's really important. The outdoors should be for everyone.
Exactly. And the Explore Act has a lot of stuff about accessible infrastructure, programs, all that. It's a big step forward for making those public lands more welcoming to everyone.
So what can we expect to see in the coming years? How is this actually going to play out?
Well, one thing is more accessible, trails, campgrounds, everything. The access agencies have to figure out what needs fixing and make it happen. So we should see a lot of new construction, renovations, all focused on making those places accessible.
Wider trails, ramps, accessible restrooms, all those things that can make a big difference.
Yep. And it goes beyond the physical stuff, too. The Act wants programs that cater to people with disabilities, like adaptive sports, guided tours for people with sensory impairments, maybe even just better information online about accessibility.
So people can plan their trips and know what to expect?
Exactly. It's about more than just, can someone in a wheelchair get down this trail? It's about creating a welcoming experience for everyone.
And when we make things accessible for some, it often benefits everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like wider trails are good for everyone, not just people in wheelchairs.
You got it. Accessibility done right, it makes things better for everyone.
Okay, so we've talked about greater access for people with disabilities, managing crowds by spreading people out to different places, and using data to be smarter about development. What else can we expect in the future?
One big thing is I think we'll see technology and outdoor recreation becoming even more intertwined.
Interesting. How so?
Think about how we already use technology when we're outdoors. Apps to track our hikes, find information, connect with other people.
Yeah, our smartphones are basically an essential part of the outdoor experience now.
They are. And as things like augmented reality and virtual reality get better, those lines between the real world and the digital world are going to get even blurrier.
Give me an example. What does that look like in like a real world scenario?
Imagine hiking a trail and your phone, or maybe even special glasses, are showing you information about the plants and animals around you, maybe historical facts about the area, stories from indigenous people.
Wow, that would be so cool.
Right. Or imagine someone who can't physically visit a national park being able to experience it virtually right there in their living room.
The possibilities are pretty amazing. We can use technology to bring the outdoors to people and also to bring information and stories to the people who are already outdoors.
You got it. It can enhance our experience, teach us things, even help us be more responsible, like an app that reminds you, hey, don't forget to pack out your trash or stay on the trail to protect the plants.
It's all about finding that balance. Right. Using technology to enhance our connection with nature, but not letting it distract us from the real thing.
That's the key. Technology is a tool, and we got to use it wisely.
Well said. So, greater accessibility, more diverse activities, using data to manage things, and this blurring of lines between technology and the outdoors, those are all big trends we can expect.
Yep. It's an exciting time, for sure. But we also got to remember technology can be a double-edged sword.
It's up to us to use it in a way that benefits these places, not harms them. Now, with all this focus on technology, I'm wondering, are we at risk of losing something? You know, that simple joy of just being in nature, unplugging, disconnecting from everything.
That's a good point. We don't want to become so reliant on tech that we forget how to just be present in the moment. Sometimes the best outdoor experience is the one where you leave your phone behind and just uh, soak it all in.
Absolutely. There's something magical about disconnecting and just being surrounded by nature, listening to the sounds, breathing the fresh air.
Totally. It's about finding that balance. Using technology when it makes sense, but also knowing when to put it away and just experience the real deal.
One of the things I love about the outdoors is that it connects us to something bigger than ourselves. It inspires awe, wonder, a sense of responsibility for the planet. Do you think the Explore Act, with all this focus on access and technology, risks losing that?
That's a great question. And it's something we should definitely be thinking about. But I believe the Explore Act, even with all the practical stuff, it ultimately has a bigger goal.
And what is that?
Getting more people to experience the outdoors. And when more people have that chance, when they connect with nature, they're more likely to want to protect it.
Yeah, it's like when you experience something amazing, you want to protect it,
It's
right?
like building a whole army of nature lovers. Give them that experience and they'll fight to keep these places awesome. That's it. And that's where I see the Explore Act really making a difference in the long run. It's not just about the immediate stuff, the trails and permits. It's about creating a whole new generation that cares about these lands, that'll protect them for the future.
That's a powerful legacy. It really speaks to I don't know, the magic of nature, right? How it can change us, make us want to be better.
It does. And it reminds us that the Explore Act, it's a great start, but it's up to all of us to actually make this vision happen.
It's on each of us to be responsible to protect these places, to get others excited about them too. Now, before we wrap up this whole deep dive, there's one last question I want to ask you, and for everyone listening too.
Okay, me with it.
If the Explore Act is about making outdoor recreation more accessible and inclusive, what does that actually mean? Like, what does true inclusion look like when we're talking about public lands?
Whoa, that's a big one. It's something we should all be thinking about.
Because it's more than just building ramps or offering discounts,
Right.
right? It's about making sure everyone feels like they belong in these spaces.
You got it. It's about breaking down those barriers, not just the physical ones, but the social ones too. Making sure everyone feels welcome, comfortable, no matter who they are, how they experience nature.
It's about going beyond those basic things, the permits and trails and parking lots, and really focusing on creating a sense of belonging, a feeling that these places are for everyone.
Exactly. So, yeah, let's celebrate the Explore Act, but let's also challenge ourselves to think bigger.
How do we make a truly welcoming and inclusive outdoor community? How do we make sure everyone feels like they have a stake in protecting these places?
Those are the questions we need to be asking. And the answers, they're going to come from listening to each other, respecting different viewpoints, working together to make sure everyone feels valued.
Because true access isn't just about removing obstacles, it's about building relationships, making connections, realizing that we're all in this together. We all have a responsibility to take care of these incredible places.
That's it. It's about shared stewardship, a sense of community, recognizing that these lands belong to all of us.
This deep dive has been amazing. I've learned so much, and I really appreciate you taking the time to break all this down.
My pleasure. Hopefully, it's got everyone thinking about their own relationship with the outdoors and how they can be a part of making it better.
Because the Explore Act, it's a great start, but it's up to all of us to make sure it actually makes a difference.
Totally. Laws and policies, they're important, but in the end, it's about people. It's about how we choose to act, how we treat each other, how we care for these places.
This whole conversation has been a journey not just about the Explore Act, but about what it means to be a part of the outdoor world, about the responsibilities we all share.
And as we keep exploring, keep learning, keep fighting for these places, I think it's good to remember what Aldo Leopold said. He was this famous conservationist. He said, "We abuse land because we regard it as a commodity belonging to us. When we see land as a community to which we belong, we may begin to use it with love and respect."
Powerful words. A reminder that we're all connected to the land and to each other. It's up to all of us to make sure these places are around for future generations. So next time you're out there, whether you're taking photos, searching for treasure, or just enjoying the view, remember, you're not just a visitor, you're a steward.
Leave no trace, be respectful, think about the impact you're having, and cherish those moments of connection with nature.
And with that, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the Explore Act. Hopefully, it's got you feeling inspired to get out there and explore those amazing public lands. Until next time, happy adventuring.
Well, folks, we hope you found today's video interesting and informative. Make sure to hit the like button if you did. Also, think about sharing it with another treasure hunter. And if you're not already a subscriber, please take a moment to do so now. We look forward to seeing you next time. Take care, and remember, there's a treasure out there waiting for you to find it.